Here we are with part 2 of our telephone interview with James Bobo Fay from Finding Bigfoot. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, click here. Melissa Adair and Rob G'day from Squatch Unlimited joined me for this epic, fun-filled interview. Now, in part 1, Bobo talks about his favorite memories from Finding Bigfoot, the injuries he has sustained from that show, his surfing history, his first Bigfoot sighting, how he thinks that Cliff Barrickman's work on the Orang Pendek is going to be taken seriously by science, and why they're all going to the United Kingdom looking for Bigfoot. Okay, I guess they're looking for something called the Gray Man. You know, they could look for Bigfoot in Hawaii for all I care. Whatever, it's a great show. And Bobo also shares with me his opinion of what that alleged Canadian hoaxer Todd Standing is. Now, all of that is in part 1. So tonight, on After Hours with Rictor, Bobo shares with us what he has witnessed happen across the country in regards to gay rights. He talks about his relationship with Matt Moneymaker and how it's on the up and up. Talks about his relationship with Renee Holland, their team skeptic, and when he first met her. He also shares with us some unexplained phenomena. Okay, here's where things get a little weird. He talks about orbs, and he has experienced zapping, and he tells us what he thinks it could be. It's a great discussion. Totally wonderful conversation. However, kind of takes a turn for the worse a little bit when Bobo and Rob G'day start talking about some guy named Bob Hieronymus and how he's been a thorn in Bob Gimlin's side. Bobo at one point says to Rob, "You're going to take an uninformed opinion over an informed opinion?" Rob stands his ground, but boy, does he get spanked by Bobo. And this all happens tonight on After Hours with Rictor. Welcome to After Hours. My name is Rictor. I am your host.
Rictor!
What?
Leave him alone! It's Judgment Day for Sasquatch.
Thanks for dropping me like a stud.
Now we got Rictor going. We're gonna have to hear about it all night. That's a bunch of screaming memes out there, and that's the scoop that has been reported so far.
By your opinion that you are no-kill, you are dooming the species to be extinct.
Well, when you don't believe in Bigfoot, everything you see that might be one is something else.
We thought that we had the holy grail of DNA.
When are we going to make a video, Rictor? And I mean not an X-rated one.
Dr. Todd, you've also been called the scoff dick.
Yeah, well.
You can't talk about
I can't!
Hello? Is this thing on? Am I muted? Can you hear me?
Hey, Rictor, I've got a question for you. How does it feel to lose Bigfoot bounty?
My question is, why do you think Bigfoot is real?
Hey, Matt, don't you wish you were on Bigfoot Bounty?
Shut up! I heard a response and he stepped on it.
Rictor!
All right, here we go. This is part 2 of After Hours with Rictor, interviewing Bobo, James Fay from Finding Bigfoot. Joining me is Melissa Adair from Team Squatch Unlimited.
Yeah, I'm the legendary Bigfoot chick.
And the Skookum movie producer, Rob G'day.
Hey, Rictor, I've been sitting here listening the whole time.
You hear that? What? Branch break. Turn right there. Right by that big oak tree. I'm gonna throw a rock at it and see if anything moves.
Bobo.
Rictor, you're gay?
Oh, absolutely. Come on, Bobo. You know I like it big and hairy. I had to throw that out there. I'm sorry. Okay, so last season, Finding Bigfoot, you guys ended on an episode called I Declare a Squatch War. And it vaguely resembled my TV show, Bigfoot Bounty. So I gotta ask, Well, we already kind of know based on what we saw. Matt and Renee got eliminated. It was Bobo and Cliff that won the contest. Nonetheless, who do you think would be eliminated if you guys were on Bigfoot Bounty?
Probably me.
Who would win in the arm wrestle contest?
Oh, me. I got that going for me.
Who's the best dancer?
Who's the best dancer? I was before I got hurt, but everyone on our, all four of us can actually dance.
That's awesome. Do you ever do the electric slide in the woods?
I couldn't do that before I got hurt.
Bobo, that is why Melissa's not had a Bigfoot sighting, because she's busy doing the electric slide in the woods.
She's very good at it.
I'm really good at the electric slide. Really good at it.
Bobo, you made a little video teasing me with two very attractive young ladies saying, "Sorry, Rictor, can't do your interview right now," with those two girls. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who are they?
Oh, just a couple of chicks hanging out with me. They're going to stay at my house this summer when we're gone filming and take care of Bunky.
Sorry, Rictor. Bobo's been busy.
Do the Humboldt tree, buddy. I'll call you later.
Oh, you are a player.
Play the plays, brother.
What's the saying? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Rictor, I think you and me and Rob and Bobo should head over to Scotland and try to blow the lid off what's going on over there.
Absolutely, Melissa. Hey, Bobo, there's been quite a few rumors and speculation out there in the Bigfoot community that you and Matt Moneymaker do not get along too well. So what's going on with you and the voice of our Bigfoot generation?
No, he's been great, dude. Like, the last year or whatever, like, since we started filming last June, he's been a whole different guy. Like, those lots.
It's the hair, right? It's the hair.
No comment.
Oh, that hair has to go.
So he's been an absolute pleasure to be on the road with this last year. He's been freaking hilarious. I mean, he's been cool. He's been fun to be with. So it's been I like being with him. Like we have a good time.
It really says a lot considering that he actually tried to cut off your foot.
It's funny because people accuse him of being a sociopath, but a real sociopath feels no remorse, and he really genuinely felt really bad about that. And it honestly was all my fault. It wasn't his fault at all.
Well, Matt's got a type A personality. He wouldn't be where he is right now if he just rolled over and took it. So he has to be aggressive. No, I'm being serious. I'm not. Hey, Bobo, I'm not being dirty. I'm serious. Look at Madonna. Madonna is not known for being nice. She's a businesswoman, and she has some talent, and look how far she's gone. Same with Matt Moneymaker. They're a lot alike, except that we want to make sure both of these people keep their clothes on, because Madonna, have you seen her lately? Oh, no.
I've seen Moneymaker with his clothes off in your drawings. There's people that just hate him for good reason. I mean, he's done stuff and said stuff that, like, he probably wouldn't say or do now, but he did in the past. But I think he's gained a certain level of self-awareness and self-reflection and has kind of grown and kind of saw things that he should change about himself, and he's been doing it, and he's been a cool guy.
Well, that's good to hear.
Well, did you just say self-awareness and self-reflection? That's really intelligent.
Rob, that's not cool.
Okay. That's good. That's good. No, seriously. I mean, I'm serious, though. I mean, I think that's really cool. I mean, that really shows growth. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you guys are, for the most part, working very well together, because for a time there was some tension amongst you guys, because you're always seeing each other, having to work with each other, 18, 20 hours a day. There is going to be some flare-ups.
Well, plus he was an egomaniac dick back then, so of course. I still give him shit, and we heckle each other all the time. Like, I just watched a couple months ago. I saw the first those pop-up bubbles we put on the show, the reruns.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen those on the reruns?
Yeah,
enhanced episodes.
Yeah, and we'd write, because the girl Hillary at Animal Planet that reads those and picks the ones was so sweet and so nice. And I remember hearing from Keith, the guy that hosts the Untold Stories, Keith, you know who he is, Rictor. I'm sure you'll think he's great. But so Keith would tell us, like, you guys are so vicious and mean. Hillary she can't believe what you guys write about each other. They're so cruel and this and that. And then, so I would write stuff really mean just to make her go, oh my God, like, because I heard she'd blush and all this stuff. And then someone else started doing the job and it's putting those stuff on the show. So it turned into this thing like where we just, we don't take it, it's just all like we don't get mad at each other. Like when I was reading, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know Renee was so mean. She's not that way in person at all. But I was reading her pop-up bubbles. I was like, damn, she's vicious.
Renee, she's started this as not a Bigfooter. She was into fish. Oh wait, I should probably reword that. She was into salmon hatchery. Wasn't that what it is?
They're not a hatchery. Like studying spawning grounds and salmonoid habitat.
And Matt Moneymaker took notice of her. Wasn't that the story?
Yeah, she was. Well, when her dad died, she inherited his stuff, and her dad is dude. Her dad is when you find out about her dad, some stuff that seems strange about Renee makes perfect sense. Her dad was this nutball, crazy daredevil, like wild man, big 6'8" biker guy. Would jump school buses on Harleys, and if you Google dumbest motorcycle crash and biggest motorcycle crash, John Holland pops up. He had a homemade duct tape parachute on his back that opened prematurely, and he wrecked 3 cars with his body, like all this stuff. So that was her dad. When he passed away, she inherited his stuff, and going through his stuff, he had a bunch of Bigfoot books, and she was reading through it, and so she was interested. So
I've never been here before, so I'm excited, and then to be with you, but I didn't realize this is only your second time back.
This is it, Renee. And
You also were a daredevil stuntman and a boxer, and my dad was a daredevil. He was also a boxing promoter, and I come from a family of ranchers, so it's like, this is a really, really special day for me, so thank you again. I'm usually the skeptical one, but it doesn't make me any less excited to go with Bob Gimlin on horseback to the site at Bluff Creek. And it's even more special to me because Bob Gimlin reminds me so much of my dad, I can't believe it. My father's here with me today. I really, really feel his presence here.
That woman really loved her father. I bet you he's smiling on her right now. I bet he's so proud.
She contacted the BFRO. Matt knew her, and then I actually met her once back in 2005. We were on a expedition up in north end of the Olympic Peninsula, Washington, and she was coming out of she came up out of this river. I mean, this super, super steep area, and I was the only guy from our expedition to make it all the way down and all the way through. I mean, Tyler wasn't there. It was before Tyler joined, or there's other guys that could have done it, but at the time I was the only guy that made it in and out all the way up and through. And I was just going, I wasn't carrying any equipment, I just had a video camera with me. And Renee came up out of there. Physically she's different now because she was like so buff back then. Like she's really strong. Like, everyone goes, oh, she's so thin, she's so thin. She just looks so thin because she's standing next to me and Matt. She's got a lot of muscle, and she came out there with like a 12-volt.
It sounds like she was in the arm wrestle contest.
Dude, she gets second. But she came out there with carrying all this gear to like electrocute baby fish, the fry and stuff. And she was, I don't know if you know, like a boat battery, like a deep cell, like a marine battery, those big heavy car batteries. She was carrying one of those and all her gear, and she hiked up out of that canyon. And I didn't talk to her, I just said hi to her, but I was like, holy shit, that chick is gnarly.
Wow.
I have a whole new respect for her now. That's so cool.
I find her to be very handsome. She's very beautiful. Just, oh, God. If I was into chicks, I would be all over that.
She's got a huge fan base. I know last year she scored number, I think, 68 on the Hot 100 for television's hottest stars or something like that. So that's pretty good.
What I also like about her is that she's great with children. She is pro-family. I love that.
Many claim it towers over 9 feet tall, covered head to foot in dark fur. It's said to possess superhuman strength, hurling huge objects, leaping fences, and bounding 20 feet in just 2 strides. In a spooky spot in the California woods, it's known simply as Bigfoot.
James Fay, a.k.a. Bobo, is a Sasquatch enthusiast from Humboldt County, the heart of California Bigfoot country.
And this general area is that the Roger Patterson, Bob Gimlin film was filmed not too far from here up in Bluff Creek back in '67. So this is historically the spot where people go. We use what we believe to be Bigfoot calls that people have recorded around Bigfoot activity.
What are you hoping to hear tonight?
It could be anything. It could be tree tapping, it could be howls, it could be a scream, it could be like a real aggressive territorial call.
A lot of waiting.
Yep, this is Bigfoot hunting.
Of all the locals up here, what percentage do you think actually believe in Bigfoot?
You talk to loggers and outdoorsmen, and you're talking a real high percentage.
On a 1 to 10 believability scale, where are you?
I'm a 10. Yeah, well, I saw one, so seeing's believing.
Local researcher Bobo had his own encounter here in 2002 while on an expedition with the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization.
All of a sudden I heard a loud crack come from the side. Crack, crack. And we were scanning back and forth for quite a while when all of a sudden what I thought to be a boulder or a huge stump just went straight up and walked into the tree line. I couldn't believe how enormous it was. It was about as big as the whole hood area of a Toyota pickup. It would go back and forth, and it would be behind this one stump that came between its belly button and its chest. It was right about here exactly. The next day we measured that stump, it was 6'9", so we figured that thing had to be 10 foot. I kept trying to antagonize him, doing calls, and then all of a sudden, at once, it was like simultaneously, at least 2 and maybe 3 ran at me, full speed. At this point, I mean, I was scared to death, and I was wanting to get out of there.
Local Bigfoot field researcher James Fay, a.k.a. Bobo, who had a sighting of his own recently.
It went into this crazy howler monkey gibbon kind of screeching, chattering. He couldn't even imitate it. Just crazy, and we're parked right at the spot, and this was less than 2 weeks ago this happened. I always had a belief in him, but now I have a knowledge in him, because seeing is believing, and I saw it.
There was some scientists trying to figure out the Sasquatch riddle. Then they figured out it was a missing link.
I think it's kind of appealing to a lot of people that there's this unsolved mystery, right in people's backyards, and it's not, you don't got to go climb Mount Everest to go see a abominable snowman. You can drive up to Northern California, and people have encounters up here all the time.
You know, Bobo, you've always known that I was gay, and I've never hidden it from the world. In fact, I use it to my advantage. Hell, it helped me get on Bigfoot Bounty. I'm sure of that. Makes me funny. It makes me stand out from all the other white trash Bigfooters that are out there. That being said, I do receive a negative consequence. Not a day goes by where I don't hear fag, faggot, fairy, flaming homo. Even on a blog talk radio show, I've heard it. And it's from people that wish they were on a television show just like you are and like I was. And it won't end. It's never going to end. People are going to attack you and claw at you just because you become successful in Bigfooting. So I got to applaud you and thank you. You are a man of character and integrity, and I feel like you're like a big brother looking out for me. No one can hurt me or harm me as long as I've got Bobo on my back. Oh, wait. I got Bobo. Bobo has my back. There we go. That sounds better.
Yeah, I got to say, Rictor, it's amazing. You know, I've been traveling around the country for a long time, and seeing how quick the tide has turned in gay acceptance, like in the most redneck gay area, like I mean, you still get like that, you know, the Bible thumper, like, you know, it's against God's will and all that and whatever. But they're not. I mean, in person they're very tolerant, and it seems like the anti-gay thing is really diminished. Like, I'm sure if you go in some redneck bars, a bunch of drunk guys talking, that's one thing, but as far as Renee's never got any anti-gay any kind of homophobia. She's never got anything anywhere we've been on the road in the last 4 years. So it's really changed. It's changing fast, and especially people under 30. I mean, even the most rural areas, the younger people are it's not an issue anymore.
That's awesome. That is so good to hear. What is your favorite memory coming out of doing this television show for 5 years?
Oh, God. Honestly, the season 1 at Silver Star, we took that helicopter with Randy the Wizard up to the top of Silver Star, that Huey helicopter, like, flying around the snow up there. That was epic. And then we just were helicoptering through the Himalayas. That was pretty incredible. And I don't know spending time with the Aboriginals down in Australia. And mostly, I guess, the number one thing would be we've got to be such a tight-knit family, like, group on the road. Like, the crew we traveled is so epic and just wonderful people, and just the relationships we've got with it's hanging out with the crew, like, after, like, when we're not working, like, we have a night off, we'll go out, and, like, we just laugh the whole time and have such a good time. And probably, the friendships with the crew, would be probably my top thing of the whole thing. And I've met thousands of great people. I've made thousands of new friends around the world, and I've got to see incredible things, and it's been an awesome experience. I mean, we get paid to travel and squatch.
Well, you guys are also, like, considered the professional Bigfooters out there. You're being paid to search for Bigfoot.
I guess by definition that makes you a pro.
You are. You're the biggest pro we got.
It's funny, the more it's weird, like, I feel like I've learned a lot. I feel like I have more questions about Bigfoot now than when I started the show. Like, I thought I had things more figured out before, but they're such weird, trippy beings, like, they're hard to get a finger, and, there's individual variation and all this and that, but I just have a really deep, profound respect for these things, I mean, and the ones we have in North America and the Yali in Australia, I mean, and what seems to be up in, Upper Asia, but, like, there's some type of, maybe Australopithecus or, whatever they are, they're just amazing.
You started talking about the trippy beings a few moments ago. A lot of people out there...
I don't know what to call them. I mean, I hear, I kind of sometimes, not get into it, but just with Cliff and Matt, I'll be like, they call them animals, and I'm like, and Cliff always says, well, we're animals too. I'm like, well, I have a deep respect for animals in general. I mean, and it's funny when you read, like, scientists have proven that dogs have feelings. It was a headline a couple months ago. I was like, well, no shit. If you've ever owned a dog, we're close to, you already knew that. But these things are a whole other level. I mean, I don't know what they are. I just know they're there.
A lot of people think that these things are the descendants of Cain, the watchers of man. They're interdimensional. We just recently had Ron Moorhead from the Sierra Sounds on our show, and he was talking about how there's quite possibly had been an advanced civilization that was on this earth in South America. There's the Ludlock Cave, those red-haired giants that fought with the Native Americans up there in Nevada. There's the Minaret skull, Is there anything in your Bigfoot experience that leads any credence to this? Or do you think that could be people's interpreting their own desires and beliefs into Bigfoot?
Well, I've known Ron Moorhead for a long time. Like, we're good buddies, and I had a lot of respect for him. And I was hearing Ron Moorhead's flipped his wig. Oh, Ron Moorhead's gone to the dark side, this and that. Ron Moorhead's gone crazy. And it's like, he's a smart, rational guy, and he's just going with what evidence he's seeing. And I haven't seen it. I haven't looked into it too much, but I'm open to what. I mean, the truth's the truth, and I don't know exactly what it is. I know what I know. I know I have. I've seen. Like, they always cut this out of the show, but I've watched a blue orb float through the trees in Northern California. And at the same time, from the same area, like, it sounded from the exact same spot. It felt like there was trees. It was a squatch walking. It was a blue light, and Yamro was there with me, and Bob Strain and Cliff was there, and we had just met the
Did
last
they all see it
wild.
too?
No,
Did they see it too?
Cliff was next to me, but Cliff couldn't see over the brush. I could just see it because I was, Cliff and myself were at one camp, and Bob and Yams were a couple hundred yards, quarter mile away, something like that. And the thing just went through the tree line, and it was breaking things as it went. I was, Cliff has it. Cliff has the audio tape, and he has my permission to play it if he wants to play it for you. And he's never played it publicly, but I'm talking about, like, is that camp? Because you never think Bigfoot or anything weird. You're always, your first thought, well, for me and for most people, it's there's a rational explanation for this. Like, it's got to be a satellite. But the thing was big. It was like the size of a basketball. I'm thinking, like, is it a helicopter? And then I saw it pass in front of a tree trunk. I can't even remember how far it was away from me now, maybe 50 yards, 40 yards, something, 50 yards, 60 yards, somewhere around there. But I saw it lighting up the brush. And
it was blue, you said?
It was blue, yeah, distinct. It was blue, and then I had another guy. Do you guys know who Cindy Dosen is, the woman up in British Columbia doing the hair analysis?
Yes.
I've heard of her. I don't know her.
Yeah, she's like an elk hunter. She's great. And her and I walked out. It was me, Cliff, Wally Hersom, Moneymaker, and Cindy, the five of us. It was the end of the British Columbia expedition in probably 2007 or something like that. And I told Cindy, I said, hey, let's just walk out from camp, be real quiet, still have a pitch black, and just sit and listen. And we did, and we went out about a quarter mile away. We could see the camp. I was sitting there. We were gonna. Something happened to the therm. The recorder was the recorder was working. Usually the recorder doesn't work when the therm works. This time the therm wasn't working, but the recorder worked. And we're sitting out there, and we heard knocks. There was full-on power knocks, and we heard some noises off of the brush. And Cliff had a recording thermal. We're like, Cliff, we're on the walkie-talkies. Get out of here, come out here now. And we're going, we saw Cliff's headlamp around the camp, and we're like, what's he doing? Like, he must be crawling underneath the truck. And then we thought he must have climbed on top of Wally, because Wally had this custom camper van that had a ladder up the back. Then we see the light go up on top above the van. We thought, well, what's Cliff climbing on top of the van for? And then we watched the light, kind of bouncing over. The headlamp bouncing, coming down the trail. We're like, okay, Cliff, just keep coming that way. You're coming the right way. Keep coming. And he's like, he didn't know what we were talking about. Like, dude, stop, you're about to walk in, like, there's thick thorn bushes, there's a drop off, there's a little cliff there you're going to fall off of, like, go there. He goes, I'm still in camp. And then Cindy just grabbed me so tight because this ball of light was kind of coming towards us. It was real small, it looked like a headlamp, but, and it went over to where those knock sounds, that light went to where the knock sounds came from, so paranormal aspects and this and that, like, there's something to it. I don't know what it is, but
when you just said that it was like a headlamp, I had like almost the identical experience when I was out squatching in Georgia, and I had two friends with me, and we all saw it, and it looked like a white headlamp, about that size.
We have that on video, and I had the same thing. I have it on video actually, coming down a mountain. From a project we did back in 2008. And you can see this thing going real slow down a hill, and it just kind of goes off. And it was like 3 in the morning. There's no way somebody was hiking. And so, yeah, we've seen the same thing.
Oh, Tyler and I almost filmed one night. We were in Minnesota on my solo, and we were walking through this swamp. Everyone says swamp gas, but this was like a flying ball light. And I'm not some swamp gas expert. This thing was like the size of a softball or something like that, or maybe a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And it was flying through the sky. I go, dude, look at that. There's a UFO, because I thought it was far away. And then it came down. It flew in front of some trees, and we were walking down this trail, and then it flew right down by the trail about probably 75 to 80 yards in front of us, and it dove right into a thick berry thicket. I'm like, oh, dude, you watch. We walked by that tree, because every time I've seen those orbs before, there's always been squat tracks, and they said, you watch Tyler, because Tyler thought that stuff was all, hocus pocus, nothing to it. And he was tripping, you know, because I don't know if you guys know Tyler, but he's like the big science guy.
Right.
You know, he's
very atheist.
It's all science.
Yes, has to be cut.
Yeah,
and dry.
yeah. That's Tyler. So, you know, seeing is believing this and that. He watched it. He was just like, oh my God. We walked by and we didn't have any Bigfoot activity, but that was another weird little orb. I mean, there was no Squatch activity, so you know I couldn't say it was related. And the one I'll tell you real quick. One other thing I had that with the paranormal people would say. My buddy and I both had video cameras. And I think this was 2003, and we were up outside of Orleans in Northern California by Bluff Creek, and he had the very end property up where the guy left because he said Bigfoots were screwing with him. This thing was coming up stealing the trash. His girlfriend saw him. She didn't believe in Bigfoot, but she said the bears were throwing sticks at her and pebbles when she was working in the garden. Big bears on two legs that ran on two legs. And this thing came up to us one day. It was broad daylight, and it was, you know, really dry. You know, a lot of tannic leaf on the ground and madrone leaves, and it's just dry and crunchy, and just, you know, when the rats and the mice ran through it sounded like elephants going through. And this thing came stomping up and was huffing and kind of doing little low growls, and definitely bipedal. And I said to him, all right, dude, I'm going to walk to this side, and we're going to run around this bush, put your camera on. We're going to get it, because there's no way you can get away. I said, all right, so you go that way, I'll go this way. I said, okay, go. We ran around the bush, and whatever it was just gone. And, you know, it's possible it could have crept away, like, you know, backtracked and just walked super soft. But we tried to, like, go anywhere, you know, like, testing ourselves, like, okay, take your shoes off. We go stay on one side, and the other guy go on the other side, and try to walk as quiet as you can. And this all happened from when it stopped walking and stopped its feet, and, like, the deep huffing and growling and heavy breathing, to us running around the bush, I mean, was less than 10 seconds. I mean, probably 5 to 8 seconds. And, you know, we had about 35 to 50 yard clearing to see, you know, like, where it would have went, and there was nothing there. So, I mean, people say, well, that was interdimensional, and it's like, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I do know that they eat, they take craps, they have young, they kill things, they eat things, they take dumps. I mean, they leave hair behind, they leave footprints, so I focus on that.
Well, that's something that we can all relate to, because that's how we live as well. We're part of the natural order of things. Certain rules of nature cannot be broken, like physics, for example. And if physics is being broken somehow, then that's not natural. It's not nature.
Our understanding of physics is growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, with the latest quantum mechanic theory and all that is, so, I mean, I listen to guys talk about it, I've read stuff about it. I don't truly understand it, but I got a limited grasp on certain aspects of it, and it's mind-blowing. And what that stuff says is all, you know, the parallel universes are facts. And at Bigfoot, you know, like the natives all say they can go both worlds, they can go in and out of both worlds. Like, maybe it's something as simple as they can vibrate at a certain frequency that makes them appear invisible to us while they're still there, you know, I don't know.
Well, then, obviously, if Justin Smea did shoot two Sasquatch, those two Sasquatch don't have the phone number to punch in the coordinates to go to their new dimension. You know, so, right? Think about it. Patterson-Gimlin, Patty, Rob, sorry to say this, walking across the creek, you know, where was its interdimensional doorway? Was it like, you know, 5 miles away, and she was like on a hustle to get there as soon as she could? I mean, you know, you never heard anything about the Native Americans saying anything about these orbs with Sasquatch. They were spirits. They were mountain devils, skookum. You know the story. They take your young, they'll eat you, things of that nature. Nothing about how...
They do talk about them going in both worlds, and there's definitely stories about orbs and Sasquatches from natives.
I just know about them talking about them not to be messed with and to be respected and to be left alone. Where are the orbs? There's no orbs in any of these photos. There's no orbs with Patty. There's no orbs with the 7 shoots thing that Rob here has. Nobody has any...
I I actually have a video of an orb coming down a mountain.
Okay, that could be anybody. That could be a person with a light. That could be, firecracker. Who knows?
Yeah.
But there's nothing like, there's no sparkly special effects. There's no ILM, Industrial Light and Magic special effects with any of these Bigfoot photos. Even the hoax stuff by Rick Dyer or Todd Standing's puppets. There's no magical sparkly things around them. You just have to take these people's word for it. Like Bobo's not a liar.
Well, no one said they're there all the time.
But this seems to be pretty common.
I've never heard anyone say there's always orbs around them.
I kind of stand with Tyler Bounds being science-based. I am open to discussion and open to new ideas, possibility. I don't want to be ignorant. I think aliens possibly exist. Maybe they're messing around with the Sasquatch. Maybe Bigfoot's plan B in case we humans blow it. And here's my argument, guys. I've told this to many, many people who don't believe in Bigfoot. Homo sapiens and Neanderthals walked side by side and competed for resources 30,000 years ago in Western Europe. Who's to say that there could have been a third Australopithecus or the Gigantopithecus that was in the forest and saw how we were treating our Neanderthal buddies and was like, oh, hell no, we're going to go up this land bridge. We're going to take this land bridge and follow these Asian people. They're pretty calm and peaceful and not as aggressive as those, Western Homo sapiens, and make a new home in North America. I mean, that could be possible. I mean, animal migration, animals tend to follow each other.
There's no question that, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, exists. The only question is, what are they?
Rob thinks they're werewolves.
So, Bobo, I have a question for you. What do you feel is the most definitive proof of the existence of Sasquatch? You cannot, for the sake of who we're talking with today, we can't put the Patterson-Gimlin film as Exhibit A, so we have to set that aside.
Sorry, Rob.
So, outside of that, what do you feel is the most definitive proof of the existence of a Bigfoot?
We talked, I don't know if you guys know who Dr. David Walsh is. He was the guy that ran the USC psychology department for postgraduate students. He ran the biggest study ever done on eyewitness memories and testimony, and what he has shown is that eyewitness accounts are really good. So what I'm trying to say is, people say, well, it's just anecdotal, but it's kind of moving from anecdotal into more scientific, like hard evidence is eyewitness testimony. I mean, when you've heard as many people as if you live in a Bigfoot area and you're doing Bigfoot research where there's good habitat, there are Bigfoots and people to see them, you hear enough stories, like that's pretty compelling. I mean, there's always going to be liars and nut jobs and whatever, but when you know these people that have really good stories, that's pretty compelling. I mean, the footprint casts, as Cliff always says, the congruency of the data on the footprints, there's not a piece of evidence that proves it. It's the full scope. It's all the evidence. When you take it all as a whole, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, they're all pieces to the puzzle.
It really is. It really is. And from all over the world, and those footprints that speak to a skeletal structure and a muscular structure, it's all there, and it's all the same worldwide. So I agree with what you're saying.
What about the Sierra Sounds, Bobo? What do you think about them with Al Berry and Ron Moorhead?
Oh, they're totally true. I knew Al pretty well, too. I communicated with Al frequently over the years, and I knew him for 50. I met Al and Ron, whenever the Willow Creek Museum opened, I think it was 96, or I think it was, so it's been a while, and those guys are not BS. I met Bill McDowell, I spent time with him, and you talk to those guys, they are not hoaxing, and I've personally heard similar things, and I wrote about this in my book. My first mentor in Bigfoot was this guy, Erwin Supple. He had so much tape of this Bigfoot family talker. He was the first watcher to, as far as, people always claim they're the first to do this, do that, whatever, but he was recording Bigfoots in the early 60s and using those recordings to call them in at other places around Northern California and Southern Oregon, and he played me these tapes, and I'd heard clips of Sierra Sounds on whatever, the search.
It was a remote, high mountain area, and I was aware that there had been some strange goings-on in this area from accounts of the people who had been there, and it was a long hike in, and I got in there in the late afternoon. I set my tape recorder up. I put my mic, taped it to a tree a little ways away from where I'd be bedding down, and then proceeded to wait along and see what developed.
Al Berry recreates for us what happened on the night of October 21st, 1972.
Later on that evening, after it grew dark, I was tired from the hike in, and I had begun to doze off, when all of a sudden I was awakened by some strange sounds.
He played me a lot of tapes, and it would be him, just like Ron and Al and Bill would be doing, like going, "What's up there, big guy?" You know, and making monkey sounds or whistles or hand claps, and hearing what was returning from the forest. And I've personally heard that a few times. And when you hear it for yourself and you listen to the Sierra sounds, you know they're real.
Rob, do you think the Sierra sounds are real?
Yeah, I do.
But you don't think Patterson-Gimlin's footage is real?
No, I mean, I've done my own. I mean, I kind of set aside what other people say, and I just I take the evidence as it is and absorb it myself. And absent of, there's all the respected people out there. And I had a long conversation with Dr. Meldrum about the Patterson film, and I respect everybody's opinion on it, but I listened to both sides. I looked at the evidence. I sat with M.K. Davis on the tailgate of a truck at Monster Central here in Louisiana while he was working on the footage. And, I looked at it all myself as closely as anybody could. And what my gut is telling me is that it's a hoax. And I just go with that.
Bobo?
Have you read Roger Deitch's report, the night report, where he breaks the hoax claims, where he interviews the claims like Hieronymus and breaks down all those hoaxing people that claim it was them, they know the hoax, it's all bullshit. And M.K. Davis, that guy kind of flips his lid, man. I mean,
yeah,
the slaughter of Patty and her family.
He went a little too far. He read way too much into that whole mess, and I agree. I totally agree with you there. He, I haven't read the other stuff, and like I said, I just kind of looked at players. I will do that. I will read it.
It's really good.
What I would like is something that I would like to read something that pokes a hole in Hieronymus and Morris's story. I listened to them. I would like to hear it. What I need to do is listen to them tell their story again and then read it, just to refresh myself on it. But
Bob Hieronymus is a liar. Bob Hieronymus was Bob Gimlin's neighbor, and he was a little fat wannabe rodeo star guy that tried to hang around. And Roger and Bob were like those guys were just legends. I mean, those guys were famous rodeo. I mean, Bob Gimlin's like one of the most respected guys from that area of Washington for cowboying and everything else, just being an awesome guy.
Here's the thing. We found an article, Bobo, of Bob Gimlin, though. He was he arrested? He was charged with a felony theft for a camera, and I guess it was the same camera.
No, it was Roger Patterson, and that was...
It was Roger Patterson.
But the charges were dropped.
Yeah, I understand that.
Roger didn't bring it back. He just didn't bring it back.
He didn't bring it back on time, and they knew he was popular, and they were just trying to jump on the bandwagon to get to get some publicity.
Hold on a second. Was that he made a big story? A lot of people always try to bring Bob Gimlin's character into going, well, Bob was charged with felony theft, and what happened on that was a guy that worked for Bob borrowed his pickup truck because he was working for a guy that didn't pay him. He went to the job site and said, "You're not going to pay me?" Well, then he went there and loaded the truck full of wood and took it home.
Yeah.
Someone wrote down the license plate number. It was Bob's truck this guy had borrowed.
Yeah.
The cops came, and they tried to arrest Bob for theft. Bob talked to him, explained, Bob was the guy that borrowed the truck. The guy that borrowed the truck explained what happened. The sheriffs were so impressed with Bob, they ended up deputizing him and made him one of the lead guys in the search and rescue posse.
That's pretty compelling. I hadn't heard that. No, and I'll definitely, I've met Bob. I've talked to him. I don't have anything but respect for Bob Gimlin. That's absolutely true. But here, I just look at the facts, and to me, the one thing that really stands out to me is a guy like Bob Hieronymus, who's just a cowboy from a one-horse town, regardless of any character issues. That's a fact. He's just a roughneck from a rough town. For him to agree to go on live television and take a lie detector test, just that very thing alone, to me, says a lot. Not knowing his character, and then to pass it is that you can't do that. This is technology. You can't just
technology that can be easily manipulated.
Well, the whole point is he's a cowboy from a one-horse town. He doesn't understand what a polygraph is. He's not going to know how to prepare for one.
Bob Gimlin's passed polygraphs too, and that guy has told, Bob Hieronymus has told that lie for so long. And I mean, people that are, I knew a guy who used to do these tests for the Secret Service when there were threats on the president, and I talked to him at length about the polygraph test and what it all involves, and he said people that tell a lie long enough believe it, they can visualize the event as they created it in their mind over the years, and they'll pass the test.
Yeah. Listen to Bobo, Rob. I don't disagree with you, but I think that goes both ways, and
it does.
Tonight, we are taking a closer look into the world of lie detector tests. The tests are useful tools for law enforcement agencies across the country.
But of course, how reliable are the results? And can a suspect actually beat a polygraph? Our Eric Bank joins us live with the answers.
Michelle, Don, police put suspects in the chair to take lie detectors every day. But oftentimes we just don't necessarily know how it's going to turn out. And tonight we are asking, can a suspect truly beat the system? Can someone come in, take a test, and beat the polygraph?
You're not beating a polygraph, you're beating the examiner. Your body's still having those same physiological responses. Doing a countermeasure is not beating the polygraph. What you're doing is you're beating the examiner. You're masking what your body's naturally doing.
And there's a slew of factors in each test that could affect the ultimate outcome.
Who's the examiner? What kind of questions were they asked? What kind of information did they have before they prepared the tests?
Throughout his career, Crawford says he's administered tests to suspects he knows were guilty, and they passed the polygraph with flying colors.
With a sociopath or a psychopath, you're not going to see that kind of response because they don't care. They could care less. What they did doesn't bother them at all.
Polygraphs can't take the place of hard evidence in court, which is why passing a test is most often not enough to exonerate a criminal.
You don't see people holding up Bob Hieronymus in high regard in that town. He's known as a loser. He wanted to hang around Roger and Bob because Roger and Bob were the big rodeo stars, and just they were. Bob Gimlin was the #1 ranked welterweight boxer in the country when he got hurt in that car crash. I mean, Bob was a superstar up there, and Hieronymus tried to tag along, and he was just this little geek, and he was. They finally told him, hey, you can't hang out with us. You got to get on your own trips. To quit following us. And he was so bitter and jealous about getting spurned. He was like a spurned lover who, just tried to besmirch, especially Bob after that.
The other question I have is, why did Bob and Philip get together? How did they come? I mean, these are two totally different people from different worlds. How did they come together and decide to try to pull this off together? To try to hoax the world together. They're different worlds. One's an executive, and has a professional career. The other, like you said, is just a cowboy. So how did they decide to come together and do this?
They didn't. You got to read Roger Knight's report. He addresses that stuff.
I'll do that.
Just read that.
I respect everybody's opinion on it. I really do.
You respect an uninformed opinion as much as you respect an informed opinion?
Ouch.
I respect everybody's opinion because I just make up my own mind on it. Yeah, but you're right. I do want people to make up their own mind with an informed opinion. I want them to do their own homework.
The facts are the facts. Well, you can see how Bob Hieronymus has changed his story so many times. As new evidence comes out, as new details comes out, he has changed his story completely, whereas Gimlin has never wavered.
And the photographic evidence backs Gimlin.
Right. You're beating a dead horse here, Bobo. Welcome to my world.
Legends like Bigfoot seem to have always been around.
But Bob Hieronymus says that the myth of the giant Yeti exploded onto the scene in the late 1960s when he was filmed in a remote part of Northern California wearing a furry ape suit. Bob says it was hard work. He spent time perfecting the now infamous arm-swinging, big-stepping Bigfoot walk and negotiated the uneven terrain through tiny slits in the scary-looking mask. He says the suit was hot, too, layered with heavy animal-like fur. Bob nearly fainted from the heat of the day. No sooner did the film of Bob hit the local news broadcast than the Bigfoot frenzy hit a feverish pitch.
Bigfoot, a huge, hairy, bad-smelling creature thought by some to stomp around in the snow.
Overnight, Bigfoot sightings were occurring, well, virtually everywhere. Bob could only laugh knowing that he was the real Bigfoot.
That is the end of part 2. Join us next week as Bobo shares with us his most frightening experience with a Sasquatch and how finding Bigfoot missed a great opportunity to film one. What are Bobo's thoughts on Dr. Melba Ketchum? Oh boy, here we go. All on After Hours with Rictor, your #1 gay Bigfoot webcast.